We are live. Let's see what's going on. What is this? Happy Friday, everybody. Give a little bit of give a minute for people to come in. And I haven't been on live for a bit, so just wanted to come in. If you've got questions, please feel free to chat into the window. I love answering questions. But I also am open to discussing topics if somebody has a topic you want to discuss. It's kind of an open Friday. I was doing some consultations with people and was already had my computer all set up. And so I wanted to just jump on and say hello. So say hello if you are joining me and let me know where you're from. Love to see who is out there and what you guys are up to. Let me know what you're doing for the weekend and maybe where you are joining me from. I know it's a little early for some, so it might not be. Some people are still working. Let me know. Say hello. You know, as on my side, it's like, we sit here and talk to a screen. It's like we don't really get to know who's on the other side, which isn't very personal. So, Dane, how are you? Hello. Good to see you. If you guys got any questions, throw them in the chat. I'd be happy to discuss them. And let me know what also too, if any of the recent videos that you've watched and you enjoyed, I always like getting some feedback on that too. We've got a lot of videos planned. Of course, the problem with any sort of entrepreneur and is that, there's just so much stuff to do and not enough time. So Dane asks, I have a fresh 2-year-old. Well, congratulations. How would you handle his newfound throwing phase? That's great. And I'm only smiling because I remember my son threw everything all over the place all the time. I think what you do is you show him the correct behavior. So of course you can say no, but it depends what he's throwing, and so part of it is teaching him that throwing a ball is totally okay, but other substances or things things that he wants to put in his hand. That's a difficult one because it's tough to distinguish between what is okay to throw and what's not. Maybe differentiate. Is there something specific that he is throwing that is a problem? In other words, what are you putting in the child's hands that that it's not? And if you're physically saying throwing or throwing a tantrum, let me know and clarify because. Just throwing a ball or throwing something. I mean, if you put something in his hand, oh, gotcha. So he throws toy trucks or food when he's done eating. Yeah. So a lot of it, you just kind of reiterate, if let's say you're eating and you just say, no, saying no, they don't really understand the no. What you do is you say, food stays on the plate. Food stays in your mouth. Food, and you sort of tell them the things that they should be doing rather than they shouldn't be doing. So, that's the case. And then with a truck, what you might do is just say, no throw, and then you say on the ground, and then so you take the truck and you put it on the ground, and then you just put it on the truck. You put the truck on the ground. You're kind of thinking of showing him what to do instead of saying, hey, don't do this, because children at that age have a little bit of difficulty of understanding the no's. They're just kind of learning how to, do these things. So that's what I would say is just focus on showing him what to do. No punishments, no anger. You just really have to explain it and show him what to do. Hey, Deborah. From Maine, not to start off on a sad note, but my children are 1 and 4, and their great grandfather passed at 5:30 this morning. I'm so sorry to hear that. How do you explain that to a 4-year-old? So, even as a 4-year-old, they may really not understand. I had this situation with my mother, and my son was 3 and my daughter was 1. And so the 1-year-old didn't know what was going on. For my son and the 3-year-old, he saw us crying and he saw us very upset. And so the way that we explained it, I actually have a video on grief, by the way. You can go back. I do have a video about that, of how to deal with grief and talking about it to kids. You can look and just search for it. So what we did is we kind of said, grandma is in heaven. And we said, she's no longer here. We just kind of made it really, really simple. We didn't try to make it too. And so when, he saw us crying, we would say, yes, we're sad, grandma's no longer here. He really didn't grasp it. But then, I remember months later, a balloon went up in the sky and he said, hey, the balloon's going to grandma. And so as he got older, we showed pictures and we sort of understood it. He then began to understand it. For the most part, they don't really need to understand too much at that age, other than if they ask a question, and usually it's related to the emotion that you're having. If there's a bunch of family around and everyone's crying, the child kind of doesn't know what's going on. And so you can just say that, hey, I grandma or grandpa or great grandpa is not with us anymore. He's up in heaven, or where, whatever you believe, if you bring in a religious aspect to it. For us, it was just, hey, she's up in heaven now. And, we're just really sad because she's not going to be here. And then I think maybe he would ask, is she coming back? And we say, no, unfortunately, she's not. And you kind of leave it very simple. If they ask questions, then you answer them. But I think you keep it pretty simple. Hey, Chaser. Hey, nothing. I just want to say, hey, Ivan, how's it going? Chaser, let's see. Oh, wait, I'm trying to get here. Okay. I've made the decision to leave my corporate job and move to the mountains to give our 2-month-old boy the future life of being in the mountains as a child. Any advice on keeping costs down as the baby ages? Yeah, I think you only get what you need. As far as the child, they're certainly not going to need a bunch of toys. And they're sitting in the mountains. We grew up in an area that had a ton of forest, and I just didn't need toys. It was sticks, rocks, and all kinds of things, and forts that we made, and everything else. So I think that in general, you're going to be, saving costs. I'm not a money expert. I can tell you some of the things that I did. But it's keeping your costs down by not spending money on things that you don't really need. You don't need as much of the entertainment. You can kind of create your own. And so I think as nature provides a ton of that. You do so many things. So maybe that, I don't know if that helps, but Ivan, how do I encourage my 20-month-old to eat his veggies? He just throws them even after watching me eat them. Yeah. That's going to happen. There is, now there's some tricks to do it. There's a book, Jerry Seinfeld's wife created a book called Delectably Delicious, or just something like that. Something, I can't think of the name. I don't know what, but meanwhile, she has a bunch of desserts that you can create and foods that you can create out of vegetables. And so, I can't think of the name, Delectably Delicious or something like that. Sorry. And, you basically can make brownies out of spinach, and it's all stuff that ends up tasting really good. And so if you're just trying to get them some vegetables, it's a great way to do it. Now, if you're teaching him or her the value of that, that's not going to come for a while. It's you sort of can give them a little bit. You try a bunch of different vegetables, and things. You put them in different consistencies. So maybe you'll puree them one time, or you'll put a little bit of, the difficulty is when people start putting ranch dressing on their vegetables and stuff, and then you end up just kind of defeating the purpose of the health of the vegetables. But I think when they're that young, if the purpose of you're trying to do is just to get them some nutrients, then you might just have to do it that way, where you put it into things with they're not really knowing. So it's like, it's zucchini as spaghetti, and the child doesn't know. And we did that a lot with our children, and in the end, they ended up, they would realize and be like, this isn't the same spaghetti that we had at our friend's house, or why do your brownies have this in it, And but my wife was really good about making that stuff, and then also made like smoothies. We made a bunch of smoothies with vegetables and even added some fruit and stuff. So I add some sugar in there, but that would be one way to do it. Evan, how's it going? Andrew, Andrew asks, hey, my girlfriend and I have been together for almost 2 years now, and I'm trying to figure this out. Should I listen to my heart and ask my girlfriend to marry me? I'm 23. She's 22. I don't think anyone else can answer that. I don't know your situation. I don't know. If you were my child and you came to me with that, I can give you my answer. But as far as your situation, it's just my opinion. I would say wait a little bit. And the reason being is in your 20s, you change and grow, and just a lot of things evolve. And especially if you believe in the sanctity of marriages for life, you have that time. It depends on the reason for getting married, because you can still be together and love each other and be committed and be married. And I think it depends where you grow up. It depends on the culture you're around. There's all kinds of situations. So I can't tell you for your situation, but if you were my kid asking me that question, I would say, is there any harm in waiting a little bit? And not to just wait. It's really waiting and confirming that you're growing together and you're growing in the same ways. Just because, when I was 23, I was so different than when I was 28 or 29. I mean, it was just very, very different. The things that I wanted to do, the people that I was around. I mean, there's so many differences. So I wish I could answer that one, but Evan, I was never around babies growing up, so now I have this irrational fear of holding babies because they feel like I'll do it wrong and everyone watching will judge me. Will this fear go away? That's not irrational. Actually, I think that's pretty common. I didn't hold a baby until I had my own. Actually, I held one of my sister's babies once or twice. I think just to take a picture so I could get on a dating app at the time when I was, or not dating website when I was in my early 20s. It worked really well. I drew a little picture that said I'm the uncle, and girls seemed to like that at the time. It was very manipulative now that I look back at it. But what I was absolutely petrified of holding a child and dropping the child and fearing that I was going to do something wrong. The part about people judging you, that's kind of a different issue. But yes, the fear goes away, especially when you hold your own child. It is all about experience and repetition and such. People ask about changing diapers. It's the same thing. You have no clue what you're doing before you do it. And then, a couple diaper changes in, you're like a pit crew expert. You've got, you're like things coming here, this coming here. You can hold things in the back of your head. Like, it's just experience and it's doing it. So yes, the fear goes away. It's not something I would worry too much about. I do want to know, guys, if you like this stuff and want to learn more, I've got a free webinar. I want everybody to go through this. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. It's a free class. I think it's like a half hour, 45 minutes now. We just redid it. Go to any of the descriptions of any of the videos that I've done have the recent videos have it. But you basically go to daduniversity.com/webinar. Go to that, sign up. There's a bunch of different times you can do it. It's all free. And this one is the 6 secrets to being a better father, or 6 proven strategies. Sorry, I've got so many different things going. But I invite you, go to the webinar and do that. It's great. It's a ton of advice. Just wanted to let everybody know that. All right, so let me see what else. There's a bunch of questions here. I want to make sure I'm answering. If you guys have questions, submit them in the chat. Gus, good to see you. Wife is due in 6 weeks. Congratulations. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Salem. Awesome. Congratulations to you. Let's see. I love the fact that you guys are here. This is cool. The lives are so much more energetic or like exciting to do. I mean, I love recording the videos, but I don't know if you saw my blooper video. I posted it on LinkedIn, and I think I don't know where else I posted it, but it was basically me like trying to get through a sentence that I was doing. It was about authoritative parenting. It took me 18 tries to get through it. Because I write a lot of the stuff down. And these words were authoritarian and authoritative, the two different styles of parenting. And I couldn't get the word right. So I would get the word right, and then I would mess up on the sentence. Literally, it took me 18 tries to do it. And it was a lesson in perseverance. And so I have an assistant who like helps me with all the recordings and stuff. And he was laughing, which I wasn't laughing at the time. I mean, I had my head down on the table. I was like so frustrated. And he was trying not to laugh. He was being nice, but he's like, man, we should do a blooper video of this. And so I was like, go ahead. And so he put together the bloopers, and it was pretty funny. A lot of people, appreciated the fact that, this stuff is not perfect. And it's kind of like parenting. It's like, you can set out to do everything right. And, even though I study this stuff, it's like we all make a ton of mistakes, and it's okay. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to admit it. I admit to thousands of people that I was, and I showed thousands of people that I, mess up on my videos. It's okay. You don't have to have an ego about it. And it's the same thing with parenting, and I was just talking with that, the previous question. He's worried about what people will think. And with parenting or anything in life, you have to get over that hump. And it's not an easy one. I'm not saying it's easy to not care what people think, but it's one of those things that holds you back so much in everything you do. Whether you're a parent in your job, with your family, with your friends, when you're worried about being judged, it's just one of those things that it just really stifles you. And what I have found, I think as I've done this more and more, is you just can't really care what people think. Of course, I want people to like my videos and enjoy them and get value out of them. But I do videos that I do some videos on some topics that I know are not going to get any views. It's just important information that I want to do. And so, I don't do many things that are controversial, but I think it's just doing things over and over. You get a sense of confidence in it that you end up not caring really. I mean, I don't get a lot of negative comments, but I do get some. They'll criticize the way like appearance or how I talk, people just love to criticize. None of that bothers me anymore. I would say when I was younger, maybe a little, but like after doing all these videos and the reason that stuff doesn't bother me is you begin to understand that when somebody criticizes or judges, it's their problem. It's not you. I was just having this conversation with a friend who was really upset about another friend and getting an argument. It's not about you. When somebody like is critical and somebody like, says something mean or whatever, it's that person's problem. It's not you. And so you have to realize that whatever you're doing and worrying about being judged, it's not your problem. You don't have to worry about that. You do what you need to do and how you do it. If somebody criticizes it or is judgmental about it or thinks that you are a certain way, it's their problem. It's not yours. And so when you can get to that place, it's it is really, really a good thing. Salem, you just asked about positive parenting. Well, that's funny. You must be reading my computer because I'm actually scripting this morning. I was scripting on positive parenting, positive discipline. Dr. Jane Nelson, she's awesome. I was just scripting about that, and I'm going to be doing a video about that. That'll come out next week. So that's so funny that you asked that. John, is it okay to reward good behavior, or would that make the child expect a gift just for acting right? Correct. Do not reward good behavior with anything other than gratitude. So John, good behavior rewarding, like giving a sticker, a chart, a cookie, a whatever. Me personally, I don't believe in that. And that's positive parenting where you don't do that. Well, actually, there is some positive parenting that'll do some things like that, but positive reinforcement is what you want to do. So, if the child eats their vegetables, you say, hey, thank you so much for eating vegetables. It's really healthy for you. You also want to let them know that they did it. And I have some videos about this where I talk about, instead of saying, I am so proud of you, you say, you should be so proud of yourself. Good behavior, it's absolutely great to say, hey, I so appreciate you, playing nice with your brother. Or, hey, when I called you over to come leave the park, you came over right away. That was really helpful in us leaving. So you just express that gratitude, and that's the reinforcement. Do not give a treat. Treats aren't, I don't know. I just don't believe in that. We don't do it with our kids. Hey, if you do this, or if you get this good grade, you're going to get $5. Or no, then the child expects it. The child should be behaving well because it is good for them, not because it's good for us or because that's what we want. You better act nice because I blah, 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 whatever. It's, the child is, being nice to their sibling because it's the right thing to do. And that's good for them, not for you, anything. So, Jermaine, I'm a 26-year-old entrepreneur, stay-at-home dad. How do I balance that with spending time with their mom? You schedule it. I have a video on work-life harmony. We go into depth of this. I have a parenting program, and I talk about this in depth. If you guys go through the webinar, it's a free class. I do talk about my parenting program. There's some other links there. If you're interested in that too, that's something that's a little bit more in depth. But I talk a lot about, the work-life harmony. You've got to schedule it, cut out the crap if you're on social media for no reason, watching TV, other things, you got to start prioritizing, and if spending some time with their mom is important, then that's what you do. And you prioritize that. You schedule it. And just like you would schedule a meeting, you schedule and say, okay, 6:00 dinner with mom. And same thing with the kids. You say, okay, 7:00. We did that just the last 2 nights. We scheduled time, my wife and I. My kids are on spring break, and my kids had actually asked and said, because we weren't going anywhere, said, hey, can we each have a night where we kind of go on a date? So we're like, yeah, let's schedule it. And that was a week or whatever, 2 ago. And so we scheduled it last night and the night before. Just, I had other things that normally I would do, but I scheduled it in there and we did it. We hung out. We went to dinner and rented a movie. And so, you have to make it a priority. And that's it. I guess it's as simple as that, but there is a little bit more complication to that, but so Ryan asks, my wife, and this is kind of an extension of what I just wrote, but Ryan asks, my wife and I just had twins, our first kids, in February. Well, congratulations. We are starting to feel the fallout of lack of sleep and balancing a work parenting schedule. How do you find best to find time to relax. So at that stage, you are not, there's only a couple ways. You're not going to find too much of the ability to relax together. What I will say is if you have family around or other people that you feel comfortable with that can watch the child, then certainly, a day or an overnight or simply just an afternoon or something like that can watch the children, then that's great. If you have the financial means, then you have somebody, maybe a babysitter or someone, to be able to watch the child, and that could be worth the investment. But what you often at that stage early is you have trade-offs times. What my wife and I did was we simply scheduled our free time, if you will, and said, hey, and we just switched off. She was so much, because she took a little bit of time off, that for her, she would be up early with the kids and stuff. And so like on the weekends, she loved, well, she actually didn't sleep in that much, but she wanted to catch up. And so I would get up early on the weekends with the children, and she was able to sort of, sleep in and relax a little bit. And so you might just kind of trade off and say, hey, on Wednesday, you do this. And on Thursday, write it out and schedule it. And, just organize it in a way that you can have that relaxation time. Don't keep a checks and balances saying, well, you got 2 hours, and so I didn't get 2 hours. You can kind of see like who needs the time maybe a little bit more. If your wife is really taxed, and just say like, hey, tomorrow or during the day, like, from the morning until the afternoon, I'm going to watch the kids. Why don't you just go relax? Like if you want to nap, you want to go read, you want to go for exercise, like do whatever you want to do, take a break. And that worked really well with my wife and I. I mean, we were just really good about giving each other that break. Now, there was plenty of times where my wife, because she's very assertive, was like, hey, I'm going out. I'll be back in a couple of hours. I need you to watch the kids. That's it. Like she was done. And we just knew that. We had that communication that it was, that's what she needed. It was like, okay, go ahead. You just have to be able to step in and help each other, and it's probably scheduling it, writing it down, being in agreement of it, and just communicate to each other of saying, hey, listen, we both need a break. You may not get the break together unless you have childcare or friends or somebody who can watch the child or family. But even the break separately can be great, And we had that also too with exercise. We both work out early in the morning, and so we would switch. She would say, okay, I'm gonna go to the gym, and then you go to the gym, and we had to get our time in, and it was just really communication helped. So let's see what else we got. Oh, well, Ryan, you just had said we're moving to a new state away from family. Any tips on adjusting to that change? I haven't moved. We bought our house right before our kids were born, and we've been in that same house. So I don't have any personal experience. What I would say is that if you're moving to a new area with you don't know anybody, is just establish friends and a support group with your own kids the same age, and parent. One person had suggested, and this was a great idea, is you make friends with a group of people that maybe have similar neighbors or friends, whatever, with similar age kids, and you give each other like either tickets or you put it on a ledger of some kind, and everyone gets credits and debits for watching children. And you could just start with one other family and you say, hey, listen, on Friday afternoon, we're going to watch all your kids and you guys go relax, and then the next Friday, or you do it once or twice a month or whatever, and you just agree to do that, with another couple or whatever. And that's great. And we did that a couple times with our kids where, there was some friends that they had, and we said, hey, listen, next month we have an outing that we need to we need to have the kids because we're going to go for an overnight. is there any chance that you guys want to have your kids, we'll watch them for an overnight here at our house, and you guys can go do, have an overnight for yourself? And they were like, oh yeah, absolutely. you know, so I think, as long as you just bring it up and communicate to other people, a lot of people would enjoy that, just swapping, taking care of the kids. You'll find, like, you know what, you already have, let's say you have 2 kids, add 2 more. It's not that big of a deal for a night. On the other side, when you can give up your 2 kids for the night, it is a huge deal, especially when they're young. It just is so nice to get away, and it's okay that it's wonderful to get away. Especially when you're married and you have 2 kids or 1 kid or whatever, but like, just to be friends and lovers again and to like enjoy each other's time, it's hard to do it, especially when those kids are young. So, Roberto, I'm in Arizona. I'm wondering, is there a dad university community in Phoenix? Nothing specifically as far as like offline. We just have our online. I haven't built, there is a community for those in the parenting program, which is a paid program, that we have, weekly coaching sessions and stuff. If you're interested in something like that, you can look on the website, daduniversity.com. You can check that out. But there's no specific group or community that, if somebody wants to start it, that's great. Diego, any tips on my 2-year-old to stop hitting? Roberto, you're actually in the waiting room. Awesome. Oh, to get your first sonogram. It's amazing how many people comment and watch the videos like while they're having the pregnancy, or like they just had the pregnancy. Roberto, or no, sorry, Diego. My mind's going crazy. I'm trying to get to as many as possible. Any tips on my 2-year-old to stop hitting? It's very common. Don't get upset with them. Don't yell. I kind of said this earlier with another thing, is you show them what to do. And so what will happen is the child will hit or something, and you say, no, soft. So what my mother did this with our kids, and or showed me how to do this. And basically you would have their hand, and instead you say no hit, soft, and you'd put it soft on your, and so you would actually grab their hand, say no hitting, soft. And other people like talk about like, hitting the kid back, or when the kid bites, you bite them back. And it's like, you don't fight aggression with aggression. And getting really angry at your child is showing them that anger stops a situation. And so it's just amazing when you take a step back and you think about what it is that you want to teach your child. And, I don't think I'm out of the norm here, where you want to teach your child to be calm and respond calmly and be nice and such. So we have to do the same, and we yell at our children, and we grab them, and and I mean, some children, some people are even talking about how they spank their child or what, which I don't believe in. You want them to be calm and nice. And if you want them to be that way, you have that way. So that's, as far as teaching them not to hit, you're teaching them what to do. Don't show them what not to do, how, yell at them for what they shouldn't be doing. Always think of it as positive reinforcement. Showing them, hey, this is, it's like, another example is like, a kid is throwing a rock. You say, no, rocks go like this. Rocks go like this. You're not saying no. I mean, you can say no, but until they really learn like what the no means and why, oh, I don't want to throw a rock because that'll hurt somebody. You're showing them what to do with the situation. So it's the same thing with hitting. Roberto, I'm wondering, regarding Dad University, what's the recommended time commitment per week? Self-paced? Yes, it is self-paced as far as the curriculum. It's on average about a class a week, which is maybe a little over an hour, but there's homework assignments. And then we have our Q&A and our coaching session. So, You can go through it more. The curriculum is lifetime access. So while you might be dealing with like hitting right now or something, hey, Fatherhood Confessions, good to see you. You might be dealing with something specific right then. Being a father, you end up dealing with something completely different down the road. You're a year from now, you're dealing with like the child not listening or the self-esteem of the child. Like, it goes in such phases of what you're concentrated on, where you're like, oh no, I don't need that, but you will, or right now I need this. And so that's where the curriculum is lifetime access. But then it's also why I have weekly coaching sessions. It's because you're dealing with something that you weren't dealing with before, and something new comes up, and it could be a challenge, like you're asking these questions that I may not cover. And so yeah, I think it's important to consistently be discussing and learning and doing that. And so yeah, that's what the Dad University parenting program is part of. But I will say, parenting program is awesome, for those that are really interested in going deeper. But the free webinar class, it's free. Like, check it out. Go to the website, daduniversity.com/webinar, and register for that webinar. It's free. There's a bunch of times. And it's 6 proven strategies to be a better father. And I've had great feedback on that. Like, that alone, there's meat. There's a lot in it. We do talk about the program as well at the end of it, but there's a lot of information in there that's good. So Fatherhood Confessions, love your stuff. One of the reasons I started my channel, geared toward helping dads through honest conversations. Awesome. Put your channel, post Fatherhood Confessions, post your channel in the chat, the link. And so if anyone wants to go there, they can click on it or check it out. Love supporting other fatherhood education and discussions. It's important that we get this stuff out there. And let's see. Matthew, good to see you. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Math Racer, everything goes back to being stressful. That's true. It's great. You guys are doing, let's see. Okay. Austin asks, what's more important, fitting in a regional culture or education quality? We have a choice of schools, but one will exclude cultural inclusion. That's a personal decision. I'll give you an example. My wife speaks Spanish, and for her, our children speaking Spanish was very, very important. It wasn't for me. It wasn't that big of a deal. I wasn't opposed to it. But our schools, our local public schools, have an immersion program. And so she was really adamant about them getting in. I was like, hey, it's not that big of a deal if we don't, And she pushed for that because it was important to her. And they got in, and it's been the most amazing thing ever. My kids now are, completely fluent in Spanish. They're bilingual, and it's awesome that, that she was really important to do that. And then, but also she's teaching them cultural things, and she's not Latin. She's not anything. She's a white girl from the Bronx, but immersing in the culture is also important for her. And so she teaches them about some of the cultural things that she's learned. And so it's really what's important for you. I don't know that somebody else can answer that question. I'm hesitant to answer what I think. Education quality is important. I think education is important, but here's the thing too, is that all children learn differently. So like colleges and stuff are not made to like really learn well. The way that our schools are structured, there's so many kids left behind because they don't learn in the way that the school teaches. Learning other cultures is extremely important just for tolerance and for understanding others. And So that's a tough one. I don't know that I want to put myself out and making that decision. If it was my kids, I might be more inclined. Well, oh wait. So here's an answer. Could you choose one and then supplement it in a different way? So here's what I'm saying is like immerse your child in the culture part of it, but then have additional education on the outside. Or vice versa, have them at the really, let's say it's a better school, and then immerse them culturally outside of school so that maybe you can get both worlds. If those are the two things that are most important for you, then maybe you can combine them somehow rather than just having to choose, the school. Hopefully that helps. Matthew, my wife and I don't like daycare, but we both want to be working. Is working opposite shifts going to hurt the relationship in the long run? I think that depends on both of you. It depends. You're definitely going to have to schedule time that you can spend together. It is difficult to have a meaningful, deep relationship without spending some time together. It's just impossible. If you guys are looking to sacrifice that for the sake of the daycare, I mean, that's your personal decision. I would just be inclined to try to see if there is some overlap, if you can, you can have weekends together, if you can, if there's some sort of combination, if it's not forever, maybe it's only for a certain, you take shifts where you say, hey, all right, for the next 6 months, let's try it. And if it doesn't work, if you guys agree that if you're feeling distant and you're feeling that it's not working, then change it. I don't think it's a lifelong sentence. You can get different jobs. You can try different things or talk to your employer. If you have a really good relationship with your employer, then say that too and say, hey, listen, I'd love to try this out for 6 months. What do you think? I don't think it's a life sentence that you have to make that decision and then you can't change it if it doesn't work. Just be in agreement and communicate. And if you guys are communicating well, maybe you have to do it through email or text because you're not on the same schedule. But just make sure you guys are communicating and knowing that could be an issue because it's hard to make something really, really meaningful if you're not spending time together. So, I think it can hurt. JP, how can I keep from falling into the same routine pre-baby and after the baby is here? You might need to expand on that. JP, if you're still on, what that routine that you're talking about means. There's a lot of different routines. There's work routine, there's personal schedule, there's romance, there's everything. So I might need some little more clarification on that. Let me see. Anybody else got questions? I'm trying to see. It's hard to see all the chats. So I only got a couple minutes here. If you guys have any specific videos that you want to see, I'd love to hear from you also. I try to make at least one video a week, if not more. But it's always difficult to keep that schedule going. But let me know if there's anything specific that you like to see, that you want to, some information that you want more of, let me know. And I'd be happy to, try to do some of those videos. It seems there's a lot of brand new dads, or people that are soon to be dads. That's a very common theme. But what about you dads who have a little bit older children? I'd love to hear from you guys too. So it's Friday. Wow. It's already been 45 minutes. It's gone through. Matt had said, I want to find motivation to clean the house after work, but it's very difficult with a newborn baby, 7 weeks old today. Feels incredible, but I'm not nearly as productive. That is correct. And don't be very hard on yourself. Try to ease up a little bit. If you have a clean house with a young child, it means you either have a cleaning person that comes into the house, or cleanliness and like cleaning is just really, really a priority for you or your spouse. And you make a tremendous amount of effort because, and especially as your child becomes a toddler and like starts using toys, like it is impossible. I constantly would come home and just was amazed at how quick children can make a house look like a disaster. And my wife was like, when she was even staying at home, she would clean constantly, floors, laundry, like everything. And it didn't matter. Like it was still it's just not the same. And so you have to give yourself a little bit of leeway. I wasn't motivated either to come home and clean the house. If you have the financial means, then, you can always hire somebody to do it. Or you save a day to do it. It's like, okay, Saturday mornings or cleaning times or something, but it's hard. You can't do everything. You can't be great at everything all the time. And, there's no secret to that. It's just whatever is the priority for you. If the priority is spending time with the child or your significant other, and cleaning is just a little bit farther down the list, it's not going to get done. But you know what? If cleaning is more important, then you put the child in a seat, and you just go and clean, or you wear them. Oh yeah, I guess Louise said baby wearing. So yeah, you can put you put it on. You can wear the baby and then clean at the same time. Tanner asks, at what point in time is it appropriate to tell family and friends you are expecting? I believe the threshold is 18 weeks, where the likelihood of having an issue goes down significantly. I think that's what it is. It's 18 weeks, which would mean 3.5 months or something like that. Is that right? Wait, 4 months? I don't know. Maybe it's 12 weeks. Sorry, maybe it's 12 weeks. You can probably look it up and Google. That was my wife's department. She would just say, okay, now we're ready to tell somebody. I didn't keep tabs on that. But there's also people that say right away, I mean, they literally get a pregnancy test and they post it on social media. So I think it's up to you, what you feel comfortable with. A lot of people like to wait until they feel that everything is secure and safe and healthy, just because of going through that emotion of, telling everybody and then having to tell everybody that it's not, because stuff happens. I just did a video last week or two on miscarriage and just how common it is, and especially the early miscarriage of just people finding out that, and some people don't even realize it or whatever. It's pretty heartbreaking. So yeah, I think that's an individual decision. There is a point like 12 weeks or something, maybe it is 12 weeks, where 3 months where you have the appointment and you feel, a little bit better about that everything's okay. And then you can tell. But that's a personal decision. Like I said, post it if you want. I don't post anything, but some people decide to post even a positive pregnancy test, which is amazing, but they do. Wow. Anything else? You guys are great. I love this community. Happy Friday, everybody. I hope that, everyone's getting through all this stuff as we get back to somewhat normal through, through this pandemic and everyone kind of getting back to some of the normal things that they get to do. Again, if you guys or girls, although it is really for the guys, but I know there's some girls on here, so I say hello. For the dads, if you want to go a little bit more in depth, sign up for that webinar. It's a free webinar, daduniversity.com/webinar. And there's a bunch of times you can register for free. And it's a class. It's basically a parenting class for free. And I think you'll get a lot out of it. A lot of people have. It's been enjoyable for many people. And that's it. So happy Friday, everybody. I hope everyone has a great weekend. I'm very thankful for the community we have here. And these are fun. I may try to come on. Hey, Max, how you doing? Joel, good to see you. And so that's it. As I end my normal videos, I will see you next time.